Finally, it's working. Good morning, it's Reverend Karen Bridges and I'm with Roberts Wesley United Church and this is Kids Church today. Sorry for the technical difficulties. For some reason it wasn't letting me start, but I'm glad I'm here today anyways. We have been talking about Sabbath over the last little bit. So I hope that if you are joining us that you will send me a little message, let me know that you are online. I always like to know who's there and feel free to comment throughout this time we have together. So as I said, in the month of June, we've been talking about a spiritual practice. So this is something that we do regularly to connect with God in a deeper way. And so one of the teachings from the Bible is that we are called to take time of Sabbath, to spend time with God. And so we heard about this in the beginning of June. I shared with you the story, the creation story, where for 6 days, God created the world, and then on the seventh day, God rested. And then last week, we talked about curiosity, Sabbath curiosity, and how we need to take time to appreciate the little things and really look for where God is at work, where the Spirit is at work in our world. Today, I thought we'd talk a little bit more about one more teaching, which actually comes to us from Leviticus. Leviticus is the book with all the rules in it in our Bible. And so today I have with me a different version of the Bible. This is called the Promise. And what I would like to do is look up Leviticus chapter 25. Now, Leviticus is in the Old Testament, the Hebrew Scriptures, so towards the beginning of the Bible. So we have Genesis, where we hear the story of creation and a lot of other stories that we know about. Exodus, as we've heard, is the story of Moses. Then after Exodus, we have Leviticus, I believe. Yes, so after Exodus comes Leviticus. So in Leviticus, we're going to look up chapter 25. Chapter 25. And I'm just going to read this to you so that you get a sense of another part of Sabbath. It says, "When Moses was on Mount Sinai, the Lord told him to say to the community of Israel, 'After you enter the land I am giving you, it must be allowed to rest 1 year out of 7. 1 year out of every 7. You may raise grain and grapes for 6 years, but on the 7th year, you must let your fields and your vineyards rest in honor of me, your Lord. This is to be a time of complete rest for your fields and vineyards. So don't harvest anything that they produce. However, you and the workers that you work with, as well as your animals, may eat whatever grows on it.'" So, on the 7th year, we need to let the land lay fallow. Do you have any idea why we would want to do this? Why would we want to let the land lay fallow? So to let it rest. Hello, Arlie. Hello, Stuart. So, as I said, in Leviticus, part of Sabbath, did you notice the number of years? So there were 7 years. So for the first 6 years, you can eat as much of the field, as much as it produces. So everything that it produces is fair game. Eat it all. But on the 7th year, you are not to harvest it. So you're not to plow down your fields and then sell it in the market. You are allowed to let your workers who work the field eat what they need, but only what they need. You don't want to take all of it down. You want to leave some nourishment in the ground. And so often when we allow the ground to take time to use the nutrients that we usually take from it and instead allow that to go back into the ground, it is going to produce more in the 8th year. And so like I said, 6 years we eat away. 7th year we rest. What is that like? It's exactly like our creation story, that on the 7th day, God took a break. The land needs to take a break on the 7th year. So it's just another teaching about things. So when we're gardening or planting, I don't know if you've ever had an apple tree, but I noticed that after a couple of years, it wouldn't produce apples because it needed to replenish itself with the nutrients that come from the ground. And so there's a rhythm, as I said at the very beginning, there's a rhythm to Sabbath, and a purpose, an intentionality, things we need to remember when we're doing this. So we're going to start today first by taking a piece of paper and dividing it into four parts. So you can fold it like that and then fold it again so that you can have your little squares. Now, this is going to be our Sabbath page. So on the Sabbath page, first of all, you're going to take a pen, and in the first square, this is going to be our day of rest. So on the 7th day or on the 7th year, things need time to rest. And then the other word we're going to use for that is reflect. So take time to reflect or to watch the clouds. Remember, we were supposed to look at the clouds and see what shapes they might make. So that's in our first square. We're going to rest and reflect. In the next square, we are going to do that curiosity thing. So this is about curiosity. Curiosity. And that to me is joy or play. When we play together or find joy in the little things, that's that curiosity. And that's part of Sabbath too. And then today, on the third day, or the third square, what we're gonna do is we're gonna learn how to make space for God so that we too are nourished. How are we gonna be nourished? What do we need to receive today in order to truly make space for God in our lives? And then in the last one, which we will learn about next week, this is our feasting area, feasting or connection, feasting or connection. So when we let the land lay fallow, we also need to, of course, nourish ourselves, but only as much as we really, really need. Some people who are faithful followers of Christ and of other gods and prophets, actually take time to fast. So this is where they don't eat for a certain amount of time. And it's a discipline just like Sabbath of making space or turning our attention to God instead of focusing on snacking all the time and those kinds of things. And it's an interesting practice. It teaches our body about not thinking or feeling like we need more than we actually do need. So all of these things are good practices, not only to care for ourselves, but also to care for the entire earth and all of creation. So I want you to think about what you do on the 7th day, on our Sabbath day. So on Sunday, what are some of the things that you would do as a Sabbath practice? Not just generally what you do, but what would you do on a Sabbath? Did you know that when I was young, there were no stores that were open on Sundays ever? So you always had to prepare ahead of time so that you had what you needed. So you couldn't go to the mall on Sunday. A lot of places were closed. It was kind of interesting, and we wouldn't be playing sports on Sunday, and we didn't do a lot of things on Sunday except go to church. We'd go to church, but we'd also have family night too, right? Where you'd have this big family dinner, and some of you probably still do some of this as well. So in some ways, this pandemic has taught us about not just going to the store whenever we feel like it, but planning for when we need things and allowing us to have a day when we don't go for groceries or we don't go out, where we stay in and we spend some quality time with our families. So what are some of the things? I want you to draw them or think about them in that square for Sunday. What do you do on Sunday? Oh, yeah. So write down, you don't need to tell me what they are, but write down some of the things you do on Sunday. Then in our curiosity column, I want you to think about what are the ways that you have recently discovered something new about the world, or something you've learned about yourself or your family, or something in creation. What's something you've learned recently, something you're really curious about? Maybe you learned to do something that you hadn't before because of being at home all the time. Like I said, I started to learn how to bake more and actually cook. Always good things, very helpful skills. All right, now today, when we're talking about that 7 years and the six years we feast, and then the 7th year we take a break. So I want us to think about, if we were to make space for God in our lives, what are some of the things that we shouldn't do or stop doing in order to make space? And what are some of the things that we should do to make space for God? There's a time for everything in our lives, but sometimes we need to space it out so that we're not doing it all at once. I mean, some of us are pretty good at multitasking, but when we multitask and do like 2 or 3 things at the same time, we aren't fully focused on any one thing. And so Sabbath teaches us that we really do need to focus on one thing, and that is our relationship with God. So how do we make space and make time for God in our lives? So one of the things I try not to do if I'm going to make space for God is turn on the TV. So I'm not going to turn on the TV, but right now what I may do is go online and listen to some music, or I might go online and listen to somebody else's service, worship service. I might tune into one of the things we're doing this during the week, maybe kids' church. What are some of the things you are going to do so that you are connected with God more? What else? One of the things I might not do is play with my friends. I might take time away from my friends so that instead I can make time for God. So that's another thing of what I might stop doing for 1 day out of 7. Remember, 1 day out of 7, what are we going to do to make space for God in our lives? So, in honor of making space for God in our lives, I thought we would do something meditative that also helps us to focus. So all you're going to need are 2 sticks, so you can get these from your yard. If you have popsicle sticks or if you have skewers, you can use those too, and some yarn or string. Colored yarn's better. But we're gonna make God eyes today. And so what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn these sticks into crosses. And the best way to do that is to take a piece of yarn first of all, and you wanna wrap it around. So we go once around that way, once around that way, and then we come over and go around the opposite direction. This is not easy to do while showing it on TV. So I've kind of made a crisscross. See that? Made a crisscross of my sticks. And then I'm gonna tie a knot to hold them together. This is just the beginning piece, and sometimes you have to wrap it around a couple times so that it really stays stable within that. How are we gonna wrap it? And we're gonna tie a little knot. This is something I learned to do when I was out at camp in the summer. I love going to camp. That's one of the other ways we can take a Sabbath. We take a Sabbath away from our families and our regular life, and we go to a camp or we go camping. And what's interesting is when we do that, I guess we appreciate all that is around us more in those moments. All right, so as you can see, I now have a cross. All right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna just take yarn and we are going to wrap it around our cross. And maybe I'll go with white just so you can see how this is working. So I'm just gonna hold the string tight to begin with. I'm gonna go under that stick, and then I'm gonna go over the next one, and then under, over, under, and you just keep doing that for a little bit. I'm gonna get rid of my little tail now that I can. These scissors are terrible. Let me get another pair of scissors. Hopefully these ones are sharper. So we go over, under, over, under, over, under. And you want to kind of go beside it. You want to keep it fairly tight as you're going over and under. And you keep doing this until it starts to bulk up a little bit. Over, under. You know what? I forgot a step. We're gonna undo that. We're gonna start all over again. Oh, this is what happens when the technology doesn't work. I forgot one crucial step to this. All right. So you can wrap it around like that a couple times, but what you want to do is you want to take a stick and you want to wrap it around the stick. So you see it comes around the back of it. And then you want to go over, wrap it, and then you want to go under, wrap it, over, wrap it, under, wrap it. This helps. This is what I was looking for. Ha! That's what I forgot. Now it's starting to look like it's supposed to. Over, under. Over, under, wrap. Under, over, wrap. Over, under, wrap. Under, over. I may have lost my... This helps to spread it out. Takes a little while to get used to. Now, the reason why we're doing this is because it's a very meditative process that allows us to quiet our minds and to focus on one task and one task only, which is what Sabbath is about, is taking time to listen for God's voice in our world and in our lives. So, what's interesting about this is that we're starting to get, do you see that? Starting to get that. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut this piece of string and I'm gonna add it back to the purple because you can start adding in different colors as you go along. And then we wanna tie those two together. Once you've cut the one that you were working on around the ropes, you want to tie it in a knot with the next colored string, which is what I did there, see? And I'm just going to cut the ends off so that they don't stick out as we wrap around things. I'm just going to use some scissors to cut that off. Doesn't have to be perfect, but you don't really want the ends sticking around. All right. So now I'm going to do the same thing, but this time with the purple. And you'll start to see how this works. Now, with popsicle sticks, it's not going to take you as long to do a God's eye because your sticks aren't as long as the ones I've chosen. But you just keep doing that. Keep a-wrapping. Now, you can always reverse your over-under to give it a different design as well. But this is called a God's eye. So, see what's happening? I'm going to show you this side. Look at that. Do you see the God's eye? So you keep doing this. You can add as many different colors. You could make a rainbow for Pride Week. If you have those different colors in your house, that would be a really cool God's eye to remind us that God loves us. So yeah, so this is what I would consider to be a prayerful practice that helps us to focus our attention on God's spirit and love in our world. I'm gonna cut that again, and I'm gonna add a different color. I just grabbed what I could find. For those of you who have been to Roberts and Wesley, we're sitting in the garden patch room right now. This is where the youngest children meet, typically on a Sunday. I was here because in this time of the year, it's time to clean what we have done over the past year. All right, so I've now added more of a pink. And I'm gonna keep going. I'm sticking with the same up and over and over and under. So there's lots of different ways that you can do this. But it is a fun craft. Now, what else could we do to spend more time with God and make more space for God in our lives, do you think? What else could we do to spend more time with God? If you have ideas, I would love to hear them. Feel free to add them on the video. What do you think? This is our God's eye. Yay! So you can keep doing that, and like I said, it's a really relaxing activity to do. It's pretty straightforward once you get used to going around the corners. I wanted to share with you though a story. This is one of my favorite stories. It's called The Runaway Bunny, and it really talks about how we can try and get away from God, but God's always there waiting for us. And I think that's what Sabbath is there to remind us, is that God is present. We just need to notice and make space and pray. Exactly. That's a good one. Excellent, Arlie. We can pray. All right, I'm going to pull this closer and I'm going to switch this around so that you can see the pages. So this is called The Runaway Bunny. The Runaway Bunny. There once was a little bunny who wanted to run away. So he said to his mother, "I'm running away." "If you run away," said his mother, "I will run after you, for you are my little bunny." "If you run after me," said the little bunny, "I will become a fish in a trout stream, and I will swim away from you." "If you become a fish in a trout stream," said his mother, "I will become a fisherman, and I will fish for you." We're back. Sorry, obviously internet's not happy today. "If you become a fisherman," said the little bunny, "I will become a rock on the mountain high above you." "Well, if you become a rock on the mountain high above me," said his mother, "I will be a mountain climber, and I will climb to where you are." See, climbing up to find the bunny. Where's the bunny? Oh, there's the bunny. Little bunny. Why would the little bunny want to run away? "If you become a mountain climber," said the little bunny, "I will be a crocus in a hidden garden." "Well, if you become a crocus in a hidden garden," said his mother, "I will be a gardener, and I will find you." So where is the bunny hiding? Where is the bunny hiding? Can you see it? It took me a second there, but I can see it. He's very clever. See? Bunny. "If you are a gardener and find me," said the little bunny, "I will be a bird and fly away from you." "If you become a bird and fly away from me," said his mother, "I will be a tree that you come home to." So there's the bunny flying, and There's Mom as a tree. If you become a tree, said the little bunny, I will become a little sailboat and I will sail away from you. If you become a sailboat and sail away from me, said his mother, I will become the wind and blow to you where I want you to go. So there's the wind blowing the bunny in a boat. If you become the wind and push me around with your breath, said the little bunny, I will join a circus and fly away on a flying trapeze. If you go flying on a flying trapeze, said his mother, I will be a tightrope walker and I will walk across the air to you. Oh, we're in the circus. Da, 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 da. If you become a tightrope walker and walk across the air, said the bunny, I will become a little boy and run into a house. If you become a little boy and run into a house, said the mother bunny, I will become your mother and catch you in my arms and hug you. You see? Shucks, said the bunny. I might just as well stay here where I am and be your little bunny. And so the bunny did. Have a carrot, said the mother bunny. See, and there they are, all cozy together. The end. So God's love is just like that. God's love is like a parent or the mom with the little bunny. God is always there. It doesn't matter where we go. It doesn't matter if we're in the church, at home, in a park. It doesn't matter if we get in trouble. God is still there with us, protecting us and loving us, giving us courage and strength when we feel like we don't have it. So I want to end our time with a prayer, and then we'll end with the Lord's Prayer. And then, so let's pray together. God, we ask for your strength today. Strength to know how to do the right thing in the world, how to be honest. Help us to not say things that are mean to other people. Help us to remember to make space for you in our lives. That sometimes we need to stop doing what we typically do in order to try something new. Remind us that in our prayers, you are with us, you are listening to us, and you understand us like no one else could, because you know who we are. You created us and you love us for exactly who we are. And we are so grateful for that, God. We want to pray for our families and friends and our pets. Keep them safe, help them to remember that we love them. We also want to pray for people who are sick, and pray for all of the workers out in the world that are helping to protect us. Help us to always show compassion and love for one another. Help us not be mean and hurt people. Especially in this time, we ask for your patience, as we know we want to get back to church and back together, and it's just not quite the right time yet. We also today pray for all the Indigenous people in the world as we get closer to Indigenous Sunday. We want to remember all the LGBTQ two-spirited people during this time too, as we celebrate Pride in this month. May we show our love and acceptance for all people in a rainbow of colors as we end our prayer together by saying the words that Jesus taught us. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. And give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Friends, remember to go out in this world and remember that you are not alone, that God loves you. I miss you, and I'm so looking forward to the end of summer when we can maybe see each other again soon. So take care, and I hope that you create your own God's eye as a way of praying and making space for God in your life today. All right, thanks for joining me. See you later. Bye. Goodbye.